What's up, guys? This your boy TNT Barbecue. It's 5 in the morning, and guys, let me tell you something. I got a special guest, guys, and I want to introduce him. This is my boy Z. I call him Zeke the Freak. He's known for craft barbecue. He's a young guy, but he's been in the barbecue game. He's been raised up in the barbecue game in Virginia and all over the United States of America. He's been going, studying the craft of barbecue for quite a long time. Since he's been about 14 years old, he's been studying and going through it. So Zeke, why don't you come on in, Zeke? So here's the story now. Me and Zeke was talking, right, Zeke, here about a couple years ago.
Right.
And we hooked up, and he came and helped me out on a couple cooks, right,
Yeah.
Zeke? So Z's healthy, I'm healthy. So Z called me out. Z was like, "Hey man, what you doing? You need some help." And I said, "No, do you need help?" And Z like, "Nah, you need help."
Yeah.
And then after a while, he was like, I'm gonna bring my brisket to it. I said, "Okay." I said, "Make sure you get a prime because I don't want to hear no excuses when I beat that hind, right, Z?"
Oh man.
So he would have got a choice. So, but I want to stay in the zone where I told y'all guys I want to stay. It's a traditional Texas kind of brisket, so I promise y'all guys that, and I'm gonna stay within those lines. I'm not gonna do it a competition style, Z, but I'm still gonna tear his butt up though. All right, Z. So tell me what you gonna do, Z.
Essentially, I'm doing a Central Texas style brisket. It's a USDA choice brisket. The marbling on it is very similar to a prime. Basically, my setup is a craft barbecue style, which you serve on a platter or a plate. Basically, it's just cooked to perfection, which you'll get in the backyard or into a regular barbecue restaurant.
Okay.
And essentially, what I want is to just be able to use the whole brisket. The whole goal is to use the whole brisket, be able to render the fat, and get everything nice and succulent.
All right. So what we're gonna do, Z? I think I'm gonna go in for a quick little trim, okay?
Sure.
And then after that, I'll let you go in for a trim, okay, Z?
Sure.
All right, so like I said, it's gonna be a long video, but it's dark outside. We need a little light to get out there before we don't trip, before we get the pit started. We're gonna bring you in. We would normally start the pits now and then do the trimming, but it's dark. We want to film, so we're gonna go ahead and do it the opposite. We're gonna go ahead and trim first, season. I'm gonna put my brisket back in the refrigerator because I like mine cold when I put it on the pit.
For me, I like to have my brisket room temperature, so essentially I trim it, season it, and then just let it sit for a little while.
Okay, so there you go. That's two different things. I'm going back in the refrigerator once I trim it and season my brisket. So,
Morning, everybody. My name is Z. Essentially, today we're going to be trimming a craft barbecue brisket. Right here I have a USDA choice. It's a 17-pound brisket, and when I'm done with this trim, it will be around 10 to 12 pounds. Right here, you have a Sujihiki. This is by Takahiki Steel. This is what I use to trim one of my briskets. So, to start off, I typically start this way. Have one hand, doing it this way. One hand on the knife, one hand on the meat. This is what I prefer. The key for a good brisket, essentially, is to have it trimmed almost like a car. You need the aerodynamic. And the thing is with that, it helps adhere the smoke very evenly. And everything is done in such a way where you're able to have the smoke just go around it. You don't want any divots or anything. So essentially right here, if you see, you have just a cooked spot essentially. So what I usually do, I go down here. I slice along the way. It gives you a look on the inside also. So that's what you want. You see the decal. This right here, if you see that's majority fat, but at the same time, if you look at the top of the moist, you can see the marbling on the inside. So this is what it looks like on the brisket. All of this during the cooking process will be rendered down. Again, you keep trimming. And this makes a great brisket. You can take the trimmings also to turn it into sausage or whatever you want, ground beef or burgers.
That's what we'll be doing. That's what I'll be doing. That's what I'm saving my trim.
Yeah. So right here, you see this is where your burnt ends come from. For me, the way I do things during my pop-ups, I tend to shave this off. And the reason I shave this off is because this burns during the cook. But it does make for great bean meat. It essentially, the smoking in here on this side. And if you notice that on the edge right here, there's a slight divot here. So through here, the flat or the lean is kind of thin. And what I like to do is to cut around here. So I make a cut right here. Usually it's a big cut and it gets the lean very even. Because essentially what will happen is when you throw this on a smoker, this part is going to curl up. And if you have it on the brisket and it curls up, you have a sweat pool right here that can debark your brisket. And for me, I don't like that. So that also goes up for sausage. So I take this edge off right here from my trim, and it creates an aerodynamic brisket. So on this side, also, I tend to trim it. Helps adhere to smoke. Makes it very aerodynamic. I'll put it this way, it's a lot of science into it, but it definitely yields a better product because you want everything to be as even as possible. If you notice, the fat cap is about 1 inch, all right? But before we trim the fat cap, you turn it under here, you have a piece of fat right here, it's called a decal. When you go slicing this is the last thing you really want to have. Because when you slice into this brisket, essentially this would be a mouthful of fat, and that's just, it's not sexy and it's just not tasty at all. So what I like to do is I go up in here, slice into here, and I get the decal out, that foot of fat. For me, I like to take this and make it in a beef tallow, because if you rub this, it melts. It makes great tallow, great for frying, and I try to get the decal out as much as I can, or at least physically possible. And it creates a heel for briskets. So essentially I want that. So also under here, we see we got some suet, which is also fat. I sometimes trim it, sometimes I don't. This cook I am gonna trim, since it doesn't look like it's gonna render into anything. So I typically trim that from the bottom and expose the intramuscular fat on the bottom. So obviously with this choice, it has some prime grading intramuscular fat on the lean end. So that means it's gonna yield a pretty good product when cooked and rendered. The objective goal of a brisket is when you're trimming it, it's also for future presentation. So how it looks is also what you're gunning for. You want to wow the people when you're cooking for. So whether it's a party or you're doing a catering or a pop-up, whatever you're doing, wherever your mode of operation is, this can yield a juicier product. So on this side, I'm just about done forcing trimming. This fat, it's a little hard, just a little hard. So what I do, I just typically shave a little bit more. It's not much, because you don't want to just divot into the brisket too much. And you just get it out like that. The reason I'm able to get this so accurate is because I'm using a Suzukiki knife. It's a single side blade. It's a single bevel blade towards the right side. It's a right-handed knife. They do have left-handed versions. So if you are a left-handed person or a lefty, you can use this. Also, sometimes I take a brisket knife, a serrated brisket knife, and I start shaving the top of this brisket. As you can see, it's starting to shape up. Obviously, you got right here, it's from the manufacturer or the meat processor. You got a divot in here. That's just from just butchering the cow. Can't stop that. It's just part of the way it is. So through here, obviously we got some fat on here. And what I like to do is to shave it off. It gives me an idea of how far I need to go. So I keep going. That's just nothing but fat, tallow. You just keep going. Nice long strokes to about 1/4 of an inch. You don't want to lose too much because you want a lot of this, because fat is flavor. But you don't want to lose too much fat because you'll lose moisture. And the goal is to make it as uniform as possible. Obviously, this brisket is just never going to be uniform, just due to the way it's made. And you have another pocket of fat here. You don't exactly want this in here. It's soft fat, it's soft pillowy fat. So what I like to do is cut inside of there, and it turns to nothing but fat. There we go. So you're left really with a nub of meat here. That burns, so what I do is shake it up. There we go. So now here it is. You have just about a majority trimmed brisket. Just trimming off some of the fat pieces. And you went from a 17-pound brisket to about a 10-pound brisket already. The fat is just already about 1/4 of an inch all the way around. You already got an aerodynamic brisket. It's going to yield a great product. Not all briskets are perfect because they do come from mass shippers or mass producers. Majority of farms do send their briskets to mass meat processing centers or specialization butcher shops that will just take the brisket. It's from through here, the upper part of your chest, and that's where the brisket is from. This is a trim brisket.
Thank you, Zeke. Yeah, I learned some stuff. But with me, I get the silver skin to this something like that, and I just get this knife right here, or a knife I got, and I just try to go against the grain. And what I do with that is it takes a lot of silver skin off. I don't know if y'all guys want to try that, but this is what I do. And I tell you what, it works. It works real good. You just go, and it just gets that going against that grain, and you get that there. So this fat right here, I just trim this down like right here, like right here. I try to keep it even. My thing is, I'm cooking fat side up because I'm using my reverse flow smoker. And I try to expose just a little bit of that. I want to make sure it's even. And like you say, I want to trim for the end product. So that's my whole goal, trimming for the end product too. So I kind of leave, I'm more take stuff off the edges. I'm more of an edge guy. I want to have those edges looking pretty nice because that's gonna help me out with my trim. And I go in right there and I try to go over a little bit more than you know, than you did. So we both essentially taking off a large, quite a bit meat, but yours is more for the top of mine is more on the side. So I'm more of a side trimming kind of guy. And like I say, you know, because I can, when I cook my brisket normally pop up a little bit, if that make any sense. It kind of, so you kind of see my same thing going on, but this is a lot thinner. You see that, Zeke? But my brisket pops up, like squishes together. And like I said, I try to go that 1/4 inch too, you know, where I try to get down here. And I'm just looking at this fat cap and, you know, right here, see? So that's where the that's where the point and the flat meets right here. So I may go down just a little bit on here. So I go down just a little bit right here. And go a little bit more. So that where that point meets that flat at, I can get that big chunk of fat off of here. But brother, that is a nice brisket right there. Look at that brisket right there. That's to me, that's a real nice brisket, you know. All that everything in there gonna render, I think. Well, I know it's gonna render. And I'll just get this curve count, you know. So I got the fat cap I need. I got pretty much everything. So when my brisket cooks, it pops up like that, so to speak. And I have a lot of rendering up under that point and flat, and that creates that money shot. So I guess we'll see. So I'm gonna go into seasoning, and like I said, I'm putting mine back in the refrigerator. Zeke gonna leave his out. So let me bring in my seasoning, okay? All right, guys. So we're gonna go into seasoning this brisket, okay? So I'm doing mine kind of traditional Texas style. I'm using salt, pepper, but hey, this seasoning right here, this fajita seasoning by Fiesta, this is the bomb.com. So this is gonna be my base layer, okay? And then I'm gonna finish off with a little garlic. So I'm keeping it pretty simple, okay? So I just like keep mine pretty simple. So I'm gonna go with the base layer, okay? So want to bring me in close to this fajita seasoning, and this is delicious on beef, man. I tell you what, guys, if y'all ever see a Fiesta season brand, grab me some of this fajita seasoning. You won't be disappointed. I've been using this stuff for years. So I go with the salt. This is a big piece of meat, guys, so, you know, you can be pretty generous with the salt, you know. But just remember, when you're doing the brisket, the ends matter, so the size matters. One thing I learned from my Texas buddy over YouTube is layering those seasons helps out with the bark. And I just do some garlic, you know. I'm layering everything because I want everything to be layered. So and then, guys, with the salt, you come back with the pepper. I like squeezing my pepper so it kind kind of shoots it out where I want it at. I'm a pepper squeezer instead of shake. It works better this way for me. I can hit the sides pretty good with this method. All right. So the key is developing flavor and bark. Okay. So I just do the same. I just repeat the same thing on this side right here. Okay. I'm not gonna bore you with this. I'm gonna go ahead and get this done. Put it in the refrigerator. Okay.
Good morning, everybody. Here I am. I'm about to season my brisket. Classic yellow mustard as a binder.
You have to use specific French's, Zeke. Okay, use any mustard.
Honestly, I say use a cheap mustard,
Okay.
cheap yellow mustard, because it's not even going to show up in the flavor. It's just for binding specific purposes. And through here, if you notice, this is the decal I cut, so I use a little bit more, so I can get that barked up really well. Today, I'm using the rub that I came up with. It's a John Lewis inspired rub. Shout out to Lewis Barbecue in South Carolina. And I like to season my briskets this way. So I'll come down with a rub layer, shake it up. And you can also open her up a little bit. Come down with a nice layer. And you want it to be very, very simple. For me, this helps build bark. And it also just gets the briskets nice and seasoned. You want an even layer. It's all in the wrist. If you notice, it's very pepper heavy, and that's okay. Some of this will come off when you put it on the smoker, and that's what I'm accounting for. It is a thick piece of meat. You do have fat and striations going through, so you want to be well seasoned. We have the edges here. Gently pick it up. So on this side, this is the presentation side again. Wow.
You help me, Zeke?
Life is so difficult. Got it. There we go. Same thing, meat hand. Get it well seasoned. Again, nice pepper heavy rub. For me, when I do my briskets, special pop-ups, I tend to have them pepper heavy. It just helps pop up, no pun intended. It just makes the meat pop, essentially. Sometimes you can splash this up on the sides or whatnot. Waste not, want not. Turn it on to this side. Come down the layer. Bounce it off your hands.
Can you tell us a bit about the rub, Zeke?
So this rub has salt, pepper, and a couple other spices I would not relinquish just yet. Essentially, what it does is just, it boosts the umami flavor throughout the beef. It's very simple. It's the actual ingredients you can find in the store, but the ratios are a little bit different to each cook. That's why I don't tell others, because sometimes I use a different ratio. And essentially with this, you know, you want to get the rub everywhere because, again, it's a bark builder. You don't want anything that can, I guess you could say, flake off. So you don't want to go too heavy and you don't want to go too light either. It's a big piece of meat. A lot of this, again, is going to flake off. You want a nice rub down brisket. A lot of this is going to just sink in and just adhere with the meat and smoke. The fat and everything is going to melt into the pepper and salt and just create a nice crusty layer. So right now I'm just going over the edges, making sure it's just evenly covered, you know, splashing up on the front, taking the residual pepper that I have, I just angle it, put the peppers on the edge for presentation reasons.
What mesh is that?
16.
16 mesh, okay.
I use only 16 mesh pepper.
Okay.
I think it's the proper Texas way. I know other people in Texas probably use it a little bit different, but I think opinion-wise, if that even matters, that 16 mesh is one of the best meshes of peppers.
Okay, all right.
So right now I'm getting a point right here.
Me personally, I like restaurant grade.
It's around the same mesh actually.
It is, okay.
Surprisingly, and right here. Any splotches that you have, just fill it in, pat it in. Make sure you never hit the pocket of meat. You don't want a pocket of seasoning.
That's a good tip, see. All right, guys, so I'm right here by my Sling and Steel custom smoker right here. This is the Beast. And Zeke is actually using one of my other reverse flows, right, Zeke?
Yeah.
He's using my reverse flow I built about 18 years ago. It is the best cooker I got. But y'all guys voted on this, so I'm using this Sling and Steel custom reverse flow smoker. Yesterday I cleaned it out. And I think it's ready for the long haul today. So that's what we're using right there, guys. You can get a ton of meat on here, but guess what, Dave? Probably one rib, one brisket gonna go on here today. But that's what we're gonna do, guys. It's overkill, but hell, we got time and a little effort and a little wood money. So that's what we're gonna do.
So this right here is a reverse flow smoker, as Styron stated. It's an offset style smoker with a top loaded firebox. With a reverse flow, essentially is that the goal is to take heat from the firebox, go through the diffuser plate, and it travels around to the stack. What that means basically is you're going to cook very evenly. It can cook briskets, pork butt, shoulder, whichever kind of protein that you would want to do. It just makes an even temperature throughout the whole cooking apparatus. Today I'm doing a brisket on here. Typically I use a standard flow smoker, but today is going to be a little bit interesting because I'm using a reverse flow. The airflow is just a little bit different, but I think I can pull it off.
Okay. All right, guys. So as you notice, I'm gonna go ahead and get this started. So what I like doing is I put one across like this right here, okay? And I keep that little kiln right there, okay? And I go and I do this like I'm building a log cabin, so what to speak. And this is how I start my reverse flow out. And so this is what I start off with, guys, okay? I got this grill running 250 degrees, and it's, no, actually it's 235 degrees. 235 degrees. That's the ideal temperature I want to have it at. So my heat is coming from here and it's reverse flowing over like Zeke explained. So I'ma put my brisket on top. I'm gonna have the point facing the heat on the reverse flow and have the smoke to go over, get to the outlet. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm running like, oh, that's hot. 235 degrees. I'm running straight oak. I'm actually doing a red oak and a white oak. Clean burning fire. like I say, no smoke coming out. All you can see is that blue smoke. Why don't you give a picture of that, Zeke? You see blue smoke coming out there? A hint of smoke. So we're burning clean. 235. Brisket in the smoker. I did kind of shape the brisket the way I wanted on the smoker. And what I'm looking for, guys, is the bark to set. So once my bark set, I'll come back and I'll show you my spritz, okay? And then Zeke will show you his spritz when he come back, okay? So let's go over to Zeke. Yo.
So, my pit is running at 250. I like to set my brisket up here just to get started. Essentially, I have the point side, the moist side, going towards the source of heat. This is also a reverse flow smoker. And basically what I want is to use the full convection to set up my bark. Right now I'm running a little bit of a dirtier smoke to get more of the color onto there, but after that I'm doing incremental temperature bumps. See you guys in about 4 hours.
All right, guys, so it's been about an hour, and I'm seeing my brisket cooking pretty decent. What I'm gonna do is it got a little hot on me. It went up to like 275, 285, almost 300. So the bark is setting up pretty good. So I want to go ahead. Just been an hour, guys. Okay. So it's, as you can see, you want to come in a little closer. So I hope y'all can pick up that. So what I do is I go, and what that does is it gets the it protects it a little bit better, I think. And you can tell this brisket is getting hot because it's this is just soaking up that that butter. Now the bark is almost set already. You feel that? You can scrape it and the bark is already pretty much set on here, but I want to get a lot more smoke flavor on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in, slow it down for a little bit. And that's what I'm doing. So I'm cooking at, I'm trying to slow this down to about 225. I pushed the damper on here and I got some stuff cut off. I want to keep it around 225, 235. Then I want to gradually go up. But it started off a little fast, but that's what you use stick burners. That's the things that happen, but that makes a good, the point I'm trying to say, things like that make a great cook. So I didn't intend for it to go spike up that high, but it did. I was eating breakfast and drinking coffee and fooling around with my boy Zeke, but that's part of using a stick burner. So but it wasn't dirty smoke. It looks nice, so that's what we're talking about.
So I'm doing a little fire management sectional, and with the offset smoker, whether it's reverse flow or not, what you want is a clean burn. I tend to run my fire a little bit hotter. Thiron cooks a little bit lower than I do. I tend to cook around 275 with a gradual temperature increase. Right here is essentially what I have as a lattice structure. I predict the fire is that I'm trying to make a cruise essentially. And what I'm doing is keeping a coal bed present. So right here, I keep the firebox open to get a clean airflow is what I want, is to get a clean smoke, and it'll help set up the bark on the smoker. So with the brisket, it helps render the fat and it helps me push through the stall when that stall happens. It helps me get momentum, if that makes any sense.
It makes a lot of sense. Well, thank you, Zeke, for that brief tutorial about fire management. Every bit helps. Let you know what's going on. So I'm running about 275, 280, and I want to show you how my brisket's looking. Okay, so this is my pork butts and stuff, but I want to show you how my brisket's looking. So as you can see, the bark has really side up, guys. The bark looks amazing. Look at the flat, look at the point. Look at that bark. And I had to, I was getting a puddle, so I had to get some wood to get this bark right here set the way I want it. I had to get some wood and lean it over so the puddling can stop. So I think I'm about to wrap this brisket. As you can see, the fat is rendering real good. And here going to the point, look at that bark. So I'm going to wrap this brisket here in a few. But I just want to tell you what's going on with the brisket. They're looking amazing, bro. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this go. Let it get the color I want. Let the ribs get done. And we'll bring you back in, okay? So that's what we're looking like. So let's talk now. Let's talk. What's going on now? He was on. We was doing YouTube Live.
Yeah.
Okay, my homeboy Kevin came through, right, Kevin?
Yep.
All right, Kevin commented on YouTube Live and said what?
About chicken.
Something about injecting
Chicken with pineapple juice. So Kevin, come on over. Like I say, you're in the proximity. He subscribed to my channel. He also a good friend, and him and his wife just stopped through for a couple seconds. And Zeke is checking on his brisket. So let's check on the brisket, Zeke.
I'm currently in a stall, so I just bumped my temperature up to between 325 and 315.
Okay.
The goal of that is to essentially just cook it out of the stall. It's getting the bark on there right now.
I want you to pull out Zeke so we can see it.
Black, exactly the way I want it.
All right.
As this keeps going, you can see the fat starting to render out. It's nice and tight. It's going to start loosening up really soon. But what you want is to keep sweating it. You don't really want to spritz as much. You just want it to just cook on there.
Okay.
Because if you notice from the other live streams, it was really light.
Yeah, it was.
Now it's turning just black.
Yep.
And that's what you want with the Central Texas style brisket. Just a black bark, sweating it out. And once it's done sweating, then you wrap it.
Are you pretty impressed with this right here? Yep. Busting the ribs, okay.
The amateur and the pro.
Yeah, I got right here the grasshopper and I got the pro right here. So what you think?
You're starting to render out just a little bit.
And you see those bubbles?
It's tightening up. I wouldn't wrap this at all. The ribs. You're in the middle of the ribs.
Okay, now look at the brisket, dog.
It smells good.
And you told me, Kevin, you can smell it on the way up here, did you not?
Spritz this end.
Oh, yes. So I'm gonna can Z the spritzer. Okay, and we're gonna go in for a little spritz at the end. Just at the end to keep that point moist, you know.
We gotta do a cook-off on chicken.
Chicken? You wanna cook off on me with chicken? I got a lot of people challenging the champ. Everybody wanna take the champ down. That's okay. To beat a man, you got to beat the man.
But you can't use my recipe.
I can't. Trust me. I got a lot of trophies about chicken. I done conquered chicken. I got a lot of trophies. Chicken is one of my.
You guys do a lot of competition barbecue. That's what I noticed.
Yeah.
I do a lot of craft barbecue.
Okay then. Well,
like Aaron Franklin and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's the style of barbecue I go for.
Okay, but there we go, guys. I'm telling you what, guys. Things are looking amazing. I'm about ready to wrap my brisket here in like 30 or 40 minutes, okay? I'll bring you back when we're wrapping. All right, guys. So my brisket is tipping out at about 180. And I think I'm going to wrap it in butcher's paper. You can also use foil. It's been on since 5 this morning. So it's 12 o'clock right now. So it's outstanding bark, guys. So I'm just gonna make sure my papers line up. This is how I wrap my brisket. I try to get the paper straight as I can get it. I want to get a little bit more room. I pull tight right there. Pull tight as I can get it, and I go over. I still pull tight. Hold in. Hold over. All right. Put it back over here. I like to saturate the paper. I saturate the paper real good. paper to not stick to the meat when you take it off. So remember guys, saturate your paper when you put it on the smoker real good. Saturate it real good, guys. That'll prevent that prevents paper from sticking to the smoker. And I'm gonna just take this off and just set these over here. Look at that pork belly, guys. That's looking amazing. Pork belly right here. Ribs, they look amazing. I'm telling you what, guys, that's amazing color on those ribs. So I'll be cooking mine for the internal temperature, probably about 205, 202 now.
So at this point, I'm starting to bust out of the stall. I'm looking for a certain color at this point before I wrap it. And once I wrap it, it'll be done. So with this stall, what I want is to essentially come out of it. I jack the temperatures up to get it to be a certain color or look. If you notice, the fat on the inside is starting to render out, and that's what I want a little bit. So I'm gonna take a temp. It's 160. It's holding exactly at 160, so we're holding at a stall 161. That's in the, it's coming out the stall here.
178.
Yep. Okay. And let's go here. Flat. It's 170 on the edges, but in the middle, it's 177. So once I get a certain color on here and make it stop sweating, I would just wrap it up and then get it done.
It looks good.
Getting very moist. It's very moist.
Hey guys, it's been a long journey here, but we're finally here. I got my boy Z. His brisket look amazing. I got my brisket in wrap in the butcher's paper, okay? So this has been a journey. I tell you what, guys. So let's just go over briefly what me and my boy Z did. We woke up this morning around about 4:30. We went for a trim. We trimmed the brisket. We seasoned it with a rub, and we put it on the smoker. My smoker spiked up around about approximately 295 for the first hour. Then I shut it down to 225. Then I gradually increased the temperature. It was low and slow. Then we wrapped in the butcher's paper, and it's been resting for 2.5 hours. So, guys, I'm about to unreveal this hard work from the reverse flow smoker with oak wood. And I'll tell you what, man, this paper smells so smoky. So, guys, I'm gonna go on with the slice and I'm gonna go straight down here. Okay. All right. You can see it got a nice smoke ring right here. You can see the juiciness right here. It's a juicy brisket. Real juicy. And I'm finna go and I'm finna start slicing right here. And I'm gonna slice right here. And the fat is very sticky. I can feel a sticky fat on here. Okay, so that's my fatty right there. And then I'm gonna do some lean. I'm gonna slice up some lean, okay? Make sure to. And I do a pencil width, okay? On my lean. So I wanna go a pencil width on my lean. So. Yep, and I'm keep slicing. I'm trying to get into the money slices so I can give y'all a fold test and a bend test. Okay, so that's my fold. Excuse me, got two of them. So that's my fold test right there. You see it folds over. That's a nice fold test, okay? So it folds over and then it pulls. So a good pull. So let's do it again. So here's the hang test. It hangs over it. It bends over my hand. It hangs pretty good. And then it just pulls apart with no effort. So this is a successful brisket. My bark didn't sell like I thought it was, but that's the money shot right there. So if I am gonna turn it anything, I think I'm gonna lay that down like that, you know, for the taste testing. I wish my bark would have turned out a little better, but I think them are gonna be my 3 little entries on that, and I want to enter another slice. So I'm gonna do a slice of brisket. So I'm gonna serve some of this right here up. So I'm gonna serve up 3 slices of the lean. So do 3 slices of lean. So we're gonna take these into the judges and we're gonna ask for an honest review. So that's 3 lean and 3 fatties. So that's what we serve right there. So as you can see, it's very juicy. So that's what I'm bringing in right there. I may not have the bark, but I got the juice. So that's why I be turning it to the judges, okay? All right, guys. See y'all later. All right, guys. We got Z up next with his barky brisket, guys. I'm telling you what, this brisket is barking, okay? So I'm gonna bring you down and show you what he's working with. That's very juicy, Zeke. All right.
Celine.
That's the fatty right there.
Nah, that's the fatty right here. This is lean.
Oh.
It's the way it just made.
Mm-hmm. So that's your 3 pieces right there.
Of lean.
3 of lean, okay. All right. And you're gonna do some fatty, okay? Now, your brisket is very steamy and hot, Zeke. That's awesome.
It's fatty.
Okay.
Kick the bottom a little too hard. Yours heat from the bottom very well.
Okay.
A little bit burnt in on there.
All right. So here's my buddy Zeke's right there presentation. He bring it in. We're gonna take that in, and we finna let the judges see.
And then the pull test, of course.
Okay. All right. The hang test right there, okay. All right. That's the pull test, okay? Right. So guys, that's Jeff. That's Sis. That's Jeff's wife right there. Hello, Jess. That's Terry. That's Zeke. And I'm T. So guys, we're going to talk about the brisket first, okay? So Jeff, why don't you tell us about brisket number 1, brisket number 2. I was number 1, and Zeke was number 2.
So T's brisket number 1, I gotta say, I've had a lot of T's brisket, and it was one of the better briskets I've ever had that he's made. So it was stiff competition for Z from the outset. But T's brisket was tender through and through, awesome bark on it. I always like the flavor of his. He doesn't, it's fairly subdued, which I kind of like. I like to have the meat, do the talking, I guess. And it was decent, and it was one of the better ones he's done. Z's was pretty good. I like his bark. I like the pepperiness of it, but the meat itself wasn't. It was juicy, but not quite as tender. Didn't quite have the flavor through and through like T's brisket did. So it kind of more of a roast beef flavor than it was like what I expect out of barbecue brisket.
Okay.
I think of the brisket anyway.
All right, so tell us about the beef ribs. Since we got the ribs, pork ribs.
The ribs, Z wins that one hands down today. His head kind of, I normally don't like or desire the sweetness to it, but they had a little bit of sweetness to it, which was just a hint of it, which I kind of enjoyed. It was a little different. Normally I'd like my ribs not to have that sweetness, but it was a nice change. And the meat itself, the ribs themselves were fantastic. Tender, fall off the bone. Good through and through. T's ribs today just weren't near as tender as it. And I got to say that I've tried a lot of T's ribs too, and these ribs were not some of the best that I've had that T's made in the past. They weren't quite as tender. The flavor's great though. As always, I like how he prepares the ribs, but the ribs themselves just weren't as tender and fall off the bone as they usually are. So Z wins that one for sure.
Okay then. All right, TT, I'm ready for you.
Yep, I'm with Jeff here. Hands down, the brisket for TNT won the show today. It was just like butter, very tasteful and tender. And Zeke's looked very juicy and flavorful, but the flavor profile was not there for me today. And then for the ribs, I've been around TNT since the beginning. But today it was just not your show. He said I got a wrong piece. I don't know. But
Really, you're doing too much.
but yes, Z1. I liked it. It was candy flavored ribs, and those was very good. So
Hey guys, we got no discrimination. All right, Jess.
I agree with everything that they said. So Z's brisket, very moist, very good, almost a roast beef consistency. TNT's brisket wins
falling
the
off
day,
already.
falling apart, delicious. Can't go wrong there. The ribs, notice which one I ate almost all of. Sorry, T, wasn't your day. Flavor was there, flavor was amazing, but Z went out on ribs.
Okay then. So, baby, what you got to say? I win both, didn't I, honey? You the tiebreaker. Because you get a special reward tonight.
really,
Yeah.
too much. You're doing too much now.
Is it a reward she wants?
Yeah, there you go, Jeff. So, guys, hey, man, I just want to say, guys, we practicing social distance. We're having fun in our house. I got my boy Zeke. Zeke, I want to thank you for coming through, brother.
No problem.
And I had a great time with you. You're always welcome here, Zeke. Guys, this is family, man. This is family. Family. And this is what we're about here in TNT, guys. And this is how we get better, by pushing ourselves with great pitmasters like Z. And my sister, her husband is in the barbecue game. Yes, he is strong. So thank y'all. Comment, subscribe, smash them thumbs up. Guys, like I say, God bless you. God bless America. And remember, God bless the world. This is TNT Barbecue with a southern explosive taste. We out of here. We're out of here. And Terry, come on, Terry. We're out of here. Give me a wave, baby. Give me a president raise. Give us a president raise. I love you. Bye-bye.